Are you tired of the cookie-cutter approach to education that's stuck in the last century? Are you seeking a win-win situation where your family thrives, your kid's education is revolutionary, and you still get to chase your own dreams? Welcome to Unschooled Unleashed. Unlock your child's genius. I'm your host, Matthew Jarecki, an unapologetic rebel dad and promoter of what many consider to be educational anarchy. You know the world isn't going to be won by those that just toe the line. It's the innovators, the visionaries, and the resilient spirits that are going to thrive. Our mission here is to forge those world changers within our very homes with less stress, energy, and time. Unschooled Unleashed starts now. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Unschooled Unleashed. I'm your host, Matthew Jarecki, and today we celebrate episode 100. We have been going since it's been 2 years. 2 years, over 2 years actually. Over 2 years of Unschooled Unleashed, and I'm happy I'm still with you. I'm happy that you guys have found value in this. I have some very loyal listeners. Thank you to all of you who tune in every week. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for letting me help you. I really just want to live my life in service of others, and I think that this is one way I can provide service. Now, last week I did mention that I have some news. It's going to sound a little weird, especially from a podcast called Unschooled Unleashed. I am starting a school. It's called Mindfire Lab. It's going to be located on the west side of Cleveland, and what we're going to do is essentially unschool children at this school. Now, the state requires that we actually have academics if we're considered a school. There's things that we have to do, and that's fine. We like to do it in a way that's unschooling. But, I have a background in technology, and I use artificial intelligence to educate my children. And as long as the child, I believe as long as it's child-led, interest-based, I think that using technology and having this type of stuff in front of them is very valuable. And having the expectation that they actually use these apps, this technology, is also a positive. And if we do intentional unschooling where we're guiding our children and providing those resources, I think this can fall in line with the unschooling philosophy. What we're going to do is offer academics for 2 hours a day in total. We're going to do it in about 30 minutes each session, and this will cover all their academics. We're going to be using software that utilizes artificial intelligence, and we are going to outpace schools by a factor of 2 in educating children using this software. We're also going to do that in a third of the time because we're only going to spend 2 hours, a third to a fourth of the time, and we still outpace schools. I have been waiting for this day for a long time. One of the reasons I homeschool is because we can do personalized learning, whatever the child's into. We can lean in. We can adjust up or down the speed at which they're learning. We can stop it when they become unengaged. This software seems to solve a lot of those issues that, only homeschoolers can solve at this point, because it will be adaptive, meaning it adjusts up or down to keep the kid engaged, and it is also mastery-based, which is something I'm a big fan of. So it doesn't allow the child to move on unless they master a topic. We'll also identify gaps that the child has, and when it identifies the gaps, it backs up and we'll actually have them review until they become masters of this. For example, if a child does not learn, let's say, the multiplication table, well, it's going to be pretty hard to learn division and fractions, right? And it will slow the children. It will slow the child down if they don't learn that. It will give them a label. It causes a bunch of problems. So what our software is going to do is back up. It doesn't matter if they're in 8th grade. It's going to back up to 1st grade math and teach them this stuff. And then it won't let them move on until they mastered it. But they can choose which topics they're going to learn, and it tries to encourage them to learn a whole bunch of different topics. It's actually kind of cool because it uses a Jenga tower, and you can go over and select your subject, but you can't, you have to expand yourself a little bit in order to do it. Like, without the Jenga tower completely, I don't know if it falls over or what it does, but you have to, in order to continue, not have the Jenga tower fall over or whatever. So pretty cool stuff. You can be in 8th grade English and 1st grade math, and it does not matter. Grades are kind of irrelevant. Kids will learn at their own pace. They will choose what they want to learn. They're going to do it based off their interests. It will engage them. It personalizes that learning. I think this is incredible, and we're going to do that in just a couple hours a day. And it will satisfy the state. It will satisfy a lot of parents. It will satisfy me, as long as we gamify stuff and we give rewards. So all of it's kind of cool, and I think it's going to satisfy the kids. The reason we decided to do this is because I am blessed enough to be able to provide my kids resources to grow at an incredible speed. I knew it was only a matter of time before technology caught up and we were going to be able to offer this type of technology to students. Now, I've been piecemealing everything together, and what I did is I found some software that can overlay over the stuff that I use and be a personal tutor, which is fantastic. So if you want to check us out, we're going to be located on the Cleveland's west side. Still looking for a place. Hopefully I have it tomorrow. And it's called Mindfire Lab. And what I like to think of it as, it's an unschooling school infused with AI academics. The teachers will not be teaching. They will be guiding. They will be motivating. The same stuff I do with my kids, only I do a lot of teaching because I don't have software for everything. Well, now we are going to have software for everything, which is pretty cool. I'll still be doing stuff, but the teachers I hire will not. We're actually going to call them guides because they're not actually, it's not top-down instruction. We're flipping that paradigm on its head. I could talk about this all day because there's so much going on. We're going to start off as a micro school, meaning we're only going to accept a certain amount of students just depending on how much space we have. And enrollment will be limited. It will be, we will interview the children and the families. We have to make sure that everyone's the right fit because this is not for everyone. This is for those who want to grow in academics very quickly, who want to have a passion for life, learn real life skills, all of it. Everything that I'm doing for my kids, I want a group of kids that I can do this with. And I think it's going to be fantastic. I could talk about this all day, so I'm going to stop talking about it there. But it's a great announcement for our 100th episode. This is 100 episodes today. Super excited. Gosh. So with that news, I'll end there. And with that, let's dive in. Today we're talking about equipping children with real-world meta skills like problem solving, self-teaching, resilience, by immersing them in the entrepreneurial way of thinking early, helping them thrive in a world where most will be freelancers or self-employed by the end of the decade. So if you listen to this show, I talk about this a lot. By 2028, it's projected that over half the U.S. workforce will be in some form working on their own, a freelancer entrepreneur. That's more than half the U.S. workforce, 90 million Americans is what they stated. Traditional jobs are being replaced with contracts, short-term gigs, self-employment, and the world isn't ready for that. Let me tell you about some problems real quick. The traditional school system does not support kids to develop in this way. That's one of the reasons I put a big focus on this. It's top-down instruction from teachers, from administrators, from everyone telling the child what to do, and their goal is, if you're the child, if you want to do good in school, your goal is to just follow instructions. Do what you're told. Don't think for yourself. Don't be creative. Don't challenge the system. Don't have a vision of something different and try and go out and achieve it, because you just do what you're told, and that's going to get you the A. And then you'll get into a good school, and then you'll be set for the rest of your life. That's the dream that they're selling. And the truth is, they have no clue what they're doing. That's what I believe. At least I think it's short-sighted. Let's say that. I don't want to be too extreme. Schools are inflexible. Schools cannot adapt. Look at remote learning in 2020. Were they able to adapt? No, they had no clue what they're doing, and they got exposed. They had their pants down and the tide went out. Kids were not learning. They were doing everything remotely on Zoom, and it didn't work. The amount of actual teaching that they did was almost nothing. They weren't adaptable. They weren't able to change with the changing times. Now, there's always going to be hiccups, but they had a lot of time to figure this out, and they still weren't able to do it. They're inflexible. We've been doing the same thing in schools for over 100 years. They created these schools to train workers of the future, right? Our children for the future workforce, which was factories. And that's why it looks just like a factory. When you walk in, the bell rings, you go to the next class, just like you would switch a station when the bell rings in a factory. You're going to do what you're told. That's a skill that's required in a factory. Tame the American workforce, quote unquote, from the industrialists. Sounds conspiracy, but look it up. This is not hidden. This is not hidden at all. They are inadaptable. They are not able to change. And we're depending on schools to prepare our children for the future workforce, and they can't even adapt over the past 100 years, and we're relying on them. I don't think so. That's when I take it into my own hands. That's why I decided to homeschool, at least one of the reasons. And I'm preparing my children for this in many ways. One of them is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is going to teach them all the things I mentioned, problem solving, self-teaching, resilience, all this stuff. They're going to be self-motivated, and it is the future workforce as far as we can see. And I don't think being a self-starter is going to hurt you if you have to work for someone else. So I don't think it's a bad thing. So I'm trying to do that with my children. So how do I do that? Well, learn by doing. Involve kids in real business decisions. Your kids can be a part of the process. You're a landlord, get them involved with like the leases and looking it over, and tell them about the problems within the business. Ask them for solutions. Have them work on a little pet project of yours. For me, my son, I'm building the website for the school that I mentioned in the intro. And I needed to have a video from the founder, right? I needed to go over and show my face and why I started the school. So I made a video, and I'm like, man, I still got to edit this. I got to do this and that. And I'm like, wait a minute. My oldest loves editing videos. Why don't I just give it to him and see what he can do? There you go. I'm involving him in it. He takes some ownership in it, and he will remember, I believe, that Dad was going out on a limb, doing something entrepreneurial, needed some help, and I was able to be a part of that. I could do that on my own too. They learn by doing. They learn by modeling. You could get them involved with looking over anything. Having them clean up is a part of the thing. I know if we finally end up getting a place, he's going to help me build out the place. We're looking at some places on Monday, so when this episode releases. So hopefully we find a place tomorrow as I record this on a Sunday. I'm going to take my kids to that. I'm going to get their feedback. These are all things we can do to involve them in the process, so that way they get to feel like they're part owner as well. And that's going to prepare them for the future. Ownership breeds intrinsic motivation. So kids light up when they own something. They get really motivated. They get really excited. Whether it's a lemonade stand or a logo that they designed or a movie they made, All these things light up kids. Find those things, build it up, encourage it, provide the tools, freedom, and feedback so they can learn what works and why. I think this is really important, to stand on the sidelines with your kids and just encourage them. Let them know that they're doing good, even if it's not working, that they're working hard, and that's really the effort, that they're going to take this lesson, and even if it doesn't work, and apply it to the next one. If this does work, great, build on that. That builds resilience. They will be self-motivated. They will see a vision, and they will know that they can go out there and do it on their own, meaning entrepreneurship. It's one of the reasons why we unschool. It's one of the reasons why we do things the way we do it. I want my kids to be self-starters. I think that's going to be incredibly important in the future. Create a household culture of creativity and value creation. So what we do is we constantly ask, how can you solve that? When we have a problem around the house, they have a problem, we just ask them, we put it on them. Okay, what do you want to do? Normalize brainstorming. When they see an issue in the world, ask them how they'd solve that problem. Like there's a worldwide problem of something, right? Maybe it's I don't know. I don't want to make anything silly up. But it's a world problem. It's something that we have, and they could solve it. Have them think about it. Then have them pitch it to you, and then if you're bold enough, have them actually do it. And framing things in terms of value, I think is a very important thing as well. They might be able to come up with something that does something really cool, but does it actually provide value? Will people be willing to pay for it? Teach them to think in terms of value, and I don't think that's going to be bad. An example might be your kid sees a neighbor struggling with errands and offers a weekly service to help them do that. Maybe it's lawn mowing. Maybe it's groceries, carrying them inside. I don't know. Making stuff up. You can see where I'm going with that. I think there's a lot of opportunity for kids, and a lot of adults want to support kids, so I think that's great. Another thing we do is we shift the focus from job prep to skill building. It's not about preparing them for a job. We want them to prepare the skills to be successful. Entrepreneurship builds practical skills: budgeting, communication, conflict resolution, sales. I could go on. These skills translate to any future career or adventure. These are I don't want to call these ones, well, some of these are meta skills like communication, conflict resolution. These are really meta skills that transfer to any job that you might have. For example, a kid might start a dog wicking business, and he learns customer management, scheduling, marketing, and he does this all before he's 12 years old, right? These are skills that adults have to learn when they finally go out on their own, when they finally decide that they want to follow their passion and do something bigger, something that they were built to do. The stuff we're trying to get our children to do. At least try and live the life that we want to live. I know I haven't been, I've been semi-entrepreneur throughout the years. I've had an entrepreneurial mindset. I've gotten some stuff, but I've never been able to sustain it for a very long time. I think part of it's due because of my limited, the way I look at things. And I just have this limiting belief that I have to go work for someone else. And I'm trying to break that, and that's part of this growth process. It's a skill to break that. It's something that I need to do. It's going to translate to anything. It's going to be a meta skill if I'm able to break limiting mindsets. So, and when I fail at something, I just look back and I say, that was a lesson. I'm going to take that and build it to the next. It's going to be useful for the next thing that I do. And it really is. Honest to God, for example, I don't know why this podcast needed to be started, but I felt called to do it. And now a lot of the things that I've learned, a lot of the public-facing stuff that I have can now be used as credibility for the school. meaning, hey, there's a wealth of information out there. We actually can get to know this guy and how he thinks. Boom, lends credibility. Not a bad thing to have 2 years of credibility, 100 episodes with this episode, by the way. Super excited about that. Moving on, build entrepreneurial confidence early. So let them try, let them fail, and let them adjust in this low-stakes environment as opposed to when they're 25 years old, putting their family on the line. Confidence grows when kids realize that they can create real results. And they can create real results. They are little humans, little adults. They're adults in the making. An example would be my son reviewing my website for the school, for Mindfire Lab. I showed him in it. I wanted him to get his thoughts directly. He builds websites. That's one of the things he's been doing. And I think asking him his input really gave him a lot of confidence. Asking him to edit the video, the founder's video, gave him a lot of confidence. And I think that, confidence is one thing, but confidence is built on affirmation from the external world, like, yes, you did something right. All right, you can get false confidence by just getting a whole bunch of people saying you're so great, but you can get a lot of confidence from doing. So that's what I'm trying to focus on, is having him do stuff and then also giving him that affirmation that he's doing the right thing. And when he starts something and when he does something, I'm going to continue to do that. Another thing is teach kids to spot opportunities, encourage observation, what annoys people, what problems exist, what's trending, what can you solve, how can you contribute to the world, what do you know that they don't? Who are you one step ahead of? Solve problems for those people. Practice ideation regularly. Ask, how would you make $50 this week if you had to? If you had to do something, what would you do? I know my kids right now, if I ask them, they're going to say I'd enter a chess tournament and I just practice chess and I'd win, because we just did a chess tournament yesterday and I entered my first one, by the way. Super proud of myself because it was a little intimidating to get in a room full of kids and play them at the entry level, because that's where I'm at. I ended up coming in 7th place, which is pretty cool. Beat every one of my kids, which I'm super proud of. But I went out on a limb and did that. But that's kind of a side note. I almost won money. Actually, me and one of my sons almost won some money. Almost paid for the whole thing. Would have been cool. I'll get there eventually. But a hypothetical example of spotting the opportunities might be like one of our kids seeing homeschoolers needing an organization and builds a planner tailored to homeschoolers' needs. That might be something. Could be anything, though. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this one up in conclusion. This is a shorter episode. I'm in the middle of the entrepreneurial venture, so I can't really spend a ton of time doing anything else right now because we're in the heat of it. But use tools. Give them resources. That's what you can do. Help them. It might be software. It might be giving them the ability to make payments, accept payments like Square. It might be software like design like Canva, or e-commerce stuff like Shopify. Could be anything. Trello for organizing projects. All of those tools, given with the right kid, are going to be helpful. Do activities. Do just one-off things. Tell them it's okay to try stuff out. Launch a lemonade stand, resell toys. Have them offer tutoring online or remotely, or not remotely, in person. Create a shop on Etsy or start a YouTube channel. Supervise them, but yeah, have them be self-starters. Practice family Shark Tank night. Have them pitch ideas. Parents offer feedback and possible investments into it. I think it'd be fun. We haven't done that, but that's something I'm mulling over. But might be worth it for you. So in conclusion, entrepreneurship isn't just a skill. It's a survival trait for the future, in my opinion. By raising our kids to be creators, solvers, and self-starters, we're future-proofing them. Unschooling creates that space, and real life creates the training ground. So with that, I'll end today's episode. So stay curious, stay unschooled, and stay away from the algebra nightmares. I'll catch you in the next episode. So here's where we roll up our sleeves and bring out the big guns. If you support our mission, then please leave a review. On Unschooled Unleashed, we are talking about using a radical approach to education in today's world, and the more 5-star reviews we have, the more people will feel comfortable with the ideas, strategies, and principles we discuss. It gives legitimacy to our message, and the podcast's algorithm prioritizes us so we can reach more people. You may even have your 5-star review read on our podcast. Before I let you go, I have to pause and say this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Your presence here is the fuel that ignites this movement. I am incredibly moved that you trust in us enough to click play. You, my friends, are the caped heroes in this story, the guardians of your family's learning journey, and a beacon of hope for your community. Be bold. Do what you think is best for you and your family. Thanks again for tuning in and taking this courageous leap outside of the box for this educational revolution. Welcome to the front line.